and he may be that. You've coached Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
You've coached All Pros. You've coached guys that are badasses that never made it to the NFL. Out of all the guys that you coached and you were a part of and you influenced, who is the baddest dude that you've ever had walk through?
Whew.
Right? Now,
That's tough.
I know.
That's tough. So I'll break it down by. Let's break it down first by university. So
I like that.
yeah,
Yes.
I
like
would
that.
say Peyton Manning. Let's start. Well, so I can even go back as far as John Curtis. We had some dudes on that team, man. We had some dudes on that.
Yeah, but
team.
they were all 24 years old in high school.
Yeah. where did you go?
Menard.
No, they were not. We had some guys that were 20, maybe. But we had some
Driving to
dudes that-
junior high games.
Yeah.
Dropping the kids off at school.
Yeah. They dropped the kids off at the lower school. And they
Don't forget your playbook.
So we had a couple of guys, Bobby Powers, Reggie Wilson, Robert Thibodeau, on and on and on. We had some dudes when I was at Curtis, but at Tennessee, Peyton Manning was that guy. Peyton Manning was the guy that would have guys that on Thursday he had his group of guys that would come in the weight room, and they were defensive linemen, offensive linemen, DBs. They would come in the weight room. There's one guy that stands out, Peyton. A guy named Ray Alston, and nobody knows Ray, but every day when you look on the television, there's this guy. He's on every kind of commercial that you could think of. He's and I think he's the commissioner of the fan. What do they call it?
The the automated or the fan controlled league.
Yeah,
Football league.
Ray Alston. So Ray, he's a movie star now, and I think the commissioner of that league or the owner of one of the teams, fan controlled football. He was the guy when Bill Parcells, there was a light beer commercial, and he said, "Hey, coach," and ask a question in the background. So he was a dude. And then at Miami, we had so many, but Edgerrin James. And so I love listening to the Hall of Fame acceptance speeches.
Right.
And nobody ever did a better job in my mind than Edgerrin James. And it wasn't written down, and it was from the heart. He was a dude. One of the baddest dudes I have ever been around in my entire coaching career. And was like a 3.5 GPA student, never failed a class the whole time. And he talks about his dreadlocks in his gold teeth in his acceptance speech in the Hall of Fame. People who looked at him on the outside would like, whoa. But if you knew the heart and the mind and the level of spirit and competitiveness that this guy had, it was unbelievable. In fact, leading up to the draft his junior year, he's the only player that I've ever coached that continued doing the off-season running program, the fourth quarter program, after he had decided to leave.
Oh, wow.
He's the only one in, I don't know how many years I coached in college, but he went through our off-season running program prior to the draft. And when he was done, he would stand there and talk smack to every person on the team.
Well, I've heard stories about Edge that he doesn't get tired. They were said that you'd put him through a workout and he would be like, "Are y'all done? You want to do another one?"
I also heard stories
Are-
about Chad Jones doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, Edgerrin James was a freak show, and the kindest, gentlest person
awesome.
off the field, unless you made him mad.
Yeah, of course.
Unless you tried to Welsh on a bed or something like that.
Personal experience?
And then, so here at LSU, I would say, there's a bunch of them. Rohan was a dude. Marquise Hill was a badass. Andrew Whitworth, Kyle Williams, Joe Adai, LeBrandon Tofield, Dominique Davis. We had so many here. Patrick Peterson, Tyron. There's just so many.
Yeah.
So many. Shaun Jordan.
he's a UFC fighter now.
Yeah. So, and So some of the guys have to remain nameless, but so Shaun had finished playing and was, he had already started. He had already signed his contract with UFC, and we were in the weight room. When I say the old weight room at Football Ops before the renovation, we were standing where the windows were at the end of the room. We had a couple pieces of cardio equipment, and we had this machine, a reverse hyper machine, and we'd finished with the workout, and I was standing back there leaning on that piece of equipment with 3 or 4 offensive linemen, like big dudes. Every one of them was over 300 pounds, and we're talking, and you could see the parking lot from where we were standing, and Shaun Jordan is walking up the parking lot, and he'd been gone for maybe 2 years, maybe 3. And he's walking up the parking lot, and the old lineman, somebody goes, "Who's that?" And one of the offensive linemen says, "Shaun Jordan." And 2 of them says, "Oh, I'm out."
See y'all later.
I was like, "Where y'all going?" "Coach, we're out." And they left. They all 4 turned and walked out of the weight room. That's how bad of a dude Shaun Jordan was.
Is there anybody that you coached that you were like, "Damn, this big son of a bitch, I'm kind of scared. Like, I can't piss this guy off."
I fear no man.
Okay.
But there was some that I respected.
Right.
So we had golly, man, Andrew Whitworth. Kyle Williams might be and so Kyle, I love you. Kyle knows I love him. But he may be the meanest human being.
I heard that.
Yeah.
He was kind of an undersized DT, right?
Yeah.
So he had to be.
He wasn't as tall as some of the greats, you know. But undersized, like you couldn't measure the size of his heart, and the level of competitiveness that he has. Kyle Williams, Marquise Hill was a scary dude. Whitworth. And so back in the old days when somebody would because college football is, it's a rough sport. You see and hear some stuff that you're like, whoa. So whenever we called it going off over the wall. So whenever somebody would get mad and walk off the practice field, it was my job to go get him to come back.
Going over the wall.
Somebody go over the wall. I remember this big dude one time went and he'll remain nameless, went over the wall, and they were like, "Go get him." I'm like,
"You go get him."
What? And then Bo Davis, I'm like, "Bo, come on, let's go get him." So yeah, we've had some bad dudes. Quan Alexander was a bad dude. Kevin Stelz, Craig's older brother, Kevin Stelz.
Oh yeah, no idea.
Was a bad dude. And their list goes. There's just so many.
Yeah.
And that's why we were successful. You don't win with just like choir boys.
Hear that all the time.
You don't.
Gotta have some dogs.
Peyton Manning, he's funny on TV, and makes funny commercials. Peyton was a bad dude.
You have to be.
Well, there's stories of him locking the other quarterbacks out of the practice facility. He would get there first and lock the door so nobody else could study with him or look at tape before he did.
All right, let me tell you a story about tape with Peyton. So where my office was in the weight room at Tennessee, I had a window behind my desk, and when I looked out the window, I could see the parking lot. So this is after Peyton's senior year, not long after the season. And I see he drove this black Oldsmobile Bravada. It's like a poor man's version of the Blazer, Chevy Blazer or GMC. They had something. But it was an Oldsmobile Bravada. So Peyton backs up to the building. He gets out and he pecks on my window. So I open the window. He says, "Coach, I got some tape here. Can you help me get it out of my truck?" And I was like, "Sure." So I leave the weight room and I walk around. He's pushing a shopping cart. And I said, "What's that for?" He goes, "I got a lot of tape." He says, "There's another cart over there. Can you get that other cart?" Because this is before
it's like the big
digital media.
Betamax.
Yeah, well, not the they were VHS tapes. Because that was in the offices and stuff, you used the big tapes. But they would convert it to Super VHS for the players. And Peyton had a Cowboy remote and all that himself. So he goes, yeah, there's another shopping cart over there. Get it. So we go over there. We go outside, and he opened the back of his Oldsmobile Bravado, and it was stacked with tapes from the back door all the way, because he had laid the back seat down, all the way to the front seats, wall side to side, top to bottom, stacked with tapes. I said, you kept every tape your whole career? He goes, no, this is just this season.
Wow.
I was like, you're kidding me. He goes, no. And he had every shot. Tight copies, wide copies, side copies, back end copies, game copies.
All 22.
He had it all. And
That's crazy.
and you know, we played with players that never watched a bit of film or never looked at the stat sheets, and you know, those guys were successful because they were just better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Peyton outworked everybody. I make a joke. I hope he, you know, and I hope
he's listening.
I hope he's listening. Yeah.
I hope he doesn't hear.
We do a
this
thing
stuff.
on the show where you just call somebody in your phone, so you can go ahead and do that.
So Peyton, I tell people this, that every time he took the field, he was the worst athlete
Right.
there, including the cheerleaders. But he was a dude,
Yeah.
and he prepared at a level that, you know, that he just outworked his opponents.
Have you seen anybody to that level?
Joe Burrow?